Hello, my name is Chrissy Hodges. I think I'm live. I'm not sure. Oh wait, it does say live at the top. I just want you to know, in lieu of my last video when I was sitting on pillows and I fell off the stool, I am now sitting on the floor. Yes, for that reason, but also because I wanted to be festive over here, and we have a Christmas tree. Yay! Sean David put this up today, which is exciting. Today I wanted, first of all, I'm Chrissy, hey, and I am a mental health advocate. I do peer support and stigma coaching, and I work for Effective OCD Treatment, or I'm contracted with Effective OCD Treatment here in Denver. And I also am a soon-to-be author. Woo! My book comes out in just a couple weeks. I submitted the final manuscript yesterday. I'm so scared, but so excited. Anyway, a lot of what I talk about in that book is going to be my lived experience with OCD. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I identify with the type of OCD, which I refer to, and a lot of people refer to as pure OCD, intrusive thoughts, taboo thoughts, just not your common OCD themes, and then you're dealing with compulsions that take place in your mind, so they're more mental, ruminating, avoidance, prayer rituals, things of that nature, and I'll get to that in a little bit with the topic of today. The topic of today is HOCD, also known as homosexual OCD. A lot of people refer to it just as HOCD because they don't want to have to say out loud what it is because of shame, guilt, embarrassment, all kinds of things that are associated with that, which I want to talk about today. First, I want to talk about what is it? You may not have ever heard of it, and I actually put a little promo on this morning saying, are you thinking that people are OCD about being homosexual, or they don't like homosexuals, or they're against homosexuality? And sure, that's what the name sounds like, right? But that's not really what it is, and there's a lot of different layers to having HOCD. I am referring to it as HOCD because it's so much easier to say that than the entire thing. I have experienced HOCD. It is not common, it is very common to have this type of OCD. But again, not everyone's going to be talking out loud about it, and there's many reasons why. But let's get into what it is. So there's kind of this thought or this assumption that everybody at some point in their life questions their sexuality. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I never had to when I was younger. I knew I liked dudes. That's the way it was. I mean, I remember the guy in 7th grade that he did it for me. I'm not going to say his name out loud in case he sees this, and then that would be funny. But I never had to question that. I was already into my symptoms when I was 8 years old, into my teenage years. So I knew something was wrong, but I wasn't sure what it was. I had scrupulosity too. So I thought that God was controlling things. It was very weird. But then one day, I all of a sudden had this thought. I'll tell you how it happened. I was talking with a friend about sex. I did not talk about sex usually because I thought it was sinful. My scrupulosity used to say, if you do sinful things, you will be punished with these bad thoughts, right? So I got very upset that this conversation was happening. I was a teenager, and she told me that she had sex. Well, that evening I went to bed. I was very angry. I was like, why can everybody do whatever they want and I can't do anything without getting punished by God? I'm telling you, I was very delusional. But it made sense for me then. And all of a sudden, I had this visual pop into my head of my friend and her boyfriend having sex. It's an intrusive thought you typically don't want to get. You don't really want to think about your friends or your family or anybody having sex. So I was like, go away! Well, as we all know, the harder you fight OCD, the worse it gets. So I started to think, I want to get this out of my head. I don't want to think about this visual anymore. The visual kept coming. And then I felt guilty for thinking about my friend's boyfriend naked. And then it happened. I was like, what if you're not thinking about your friend's boyfriend? What if you're thinking about your friend? And I was like, I'm 14, okay? So I didn't know a lot how anything worked. I only just knew what I knew then. And I was controlled by OCD at that point. And my mind went to this. Did I just turn gay? Can you turn gay? No, I don't like chicks. I don't want to be with chicks. Like my friends out there, I certainly don't like her. But it happened, and it was too late. Because once you start thinking about an intrusive thought and you try to explore the why, you're hooked. At least that's how it works for me. We all get intrusive thoughts. We all have thoughts that we don't like and we don't want. You know, I'm sitting next to someone, there's a knife there. What if I pick up the knife and I stab that person in the leg? Like, typically that's an intrusive thought. Maybe it isn't, depending on the person that you're sitting by. But someone with OCD will think, why did I just think that? Does that mean I'm a horrible person? Does that mean I want to be violent? Does that mean I hate this person? Instead of just thinking, I just had this horrible thought and I want it to go away. I didn't know how to do that when I was 14, and I was very, very ill with OCD. And so that thought ran rampant. And I'm telling you, it took over my life. Everywhere I looked from that moment on was proof or disproof that I had turned gay overnight. I had a boyfriend at the time. I was super boy crazy anyway. But then I just thought, oh my God, is that just a cover up? And all this time I've been gay and I just didn't know it. Here's the thing. Like I didn't have anything against gay people, but I just didn't want to be with girls. And to this day, I just still don't. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. And that's where OCD goes, well, if you can't stop thinking about it, then maybe something's true about it. There's the hook. A lot of times in my videos, I'll talk about the hook. Now, that was the hook for me. It's the OCD about OCD, right? So from then on, and I'll give you some more examples here in a few minutes, it took over my whole life. I was also dealing with the fear of throwing up, but that one went rampant. Everywhere I looked, it was proof or disproof. I mean, I would think a woman was pretty, and I would be like, oh my God, did I think she's pretty because maybe I'm gay? And then I would think a man is hot, and I'm like, look, that proves that I'm not gay. It was 24/7. But first, I'm going to tell you what HOCD isn't. Now, I've told you a little bit about what it is and how it can manifest and how it can rule your life. Here's what it isn't. Having HOCD is not some weird proof that you're anti-gay or that you think being gay is wrong. And I was in the South, okay, and we were religious. And a lot of people that I grew up with thought that being gay was wrong. I didn't. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't really think yes or no or anything. I just thought, okay, people are gay. That's how it is. I had no issue whatsoever with it. So the guilt comes in. And then you start thinking, well, you have these OCD thoughts or you have these thoughts about it. Maybe that means you think it's wrong. And then you feel guilty and you worry about that. And so it's this perpetual cycle. But I do want to tell you, if you experience HOCD, or for people out there that don't have OCD and you're thinking, is this girl just making a statement against homosexuals? It is not that at all. Most of the people that I work with that have HOCD, which by the way, there's a lot of people with it, they will tell you they see nothing fundamentally wrong with people being gay. They don't have any disdain, or they support gay marriage, So it has nothing to do with that, and I just wanted to make that super clear. But that is really where a lot of the guilt comes in, because you think to yourself, well, I don't have anything against people who are gay, so why do I worry whether I was or not? That is the $1 million question, okay? You are not really worried whether you are or you aren't. You're worried about why you can't stop worrying about it. That is the whole premises behind pure intrusive thoughts. First of all, if this was a question for you before, you probably would have already questioned it. But then once it comes up and it gets hooked like it does, the anxiety surrounding it terrifies you. And so you do anything and everything to prove that this fear is real or it is not real in order for the anxiety to stop. So things like that are going to be ruminating about whether or not you felt a certain way about something, whether or not all of a sudden, were you attracted to this person? Were you not? I just made out with a guy. Did I really like it, or did I just fake it? Am I faking? I don't know. How do you prove whether you're faking it or not? Am I really attracted to this person? I don't know. I don't know this. What if that? What if this? Okay, that's one of the things. Avoidance. So you may start avoiding movies, news about homosexual, progression or homosexual anything, because you may have anxiety just at the thought of it, even though that doesn't mean you're against it at all. But anything that you're around may cause you anxiety, you start to avoid. So for me, it was, I couldn't deal with anything that had to do with religion and homosexuality because I was super religious, but I didn't think it was wrong. But whenever it would come up, I would get massive anxiety. And I would think, oh my God, like I have to figure this out. I have to make sure that I know the truth or whatever. And the truth is you don't know the truth. You can't know the truth. And that'll come later as well. Other things, prayer rituals. I did prayer rituals. I thought, okay, I had scrupulosity. So for me, it was, God was punishing me with bad thoughts. Again, I'm not saying that being homosexual is bad, but I had bad thoughts, which are anxiety-provoking thoughts about throwing up, about homosexuality, about a lot of things. And so I would do prayer rituals of, okay, I need to be I'm going to be the best Christian I can be. I'm going to forgive all this just so you'll make these bad thoughts go away. I just want to be like I was before all of this started. Don't we all wish that? Even if before was horrible, we still just wish we didn't have to deal with this. Hey, cat. So other things, then you're gonna try to do things to try to prove and disprove, and then there's the groinal. Here we go again. Groinal girl, right here. Groinal happens when you have sexual intrusive thoughts, and I'm gonna tell you, it keeps you stuck in that damn cycle. What happens is you have something that happens down there that mimics arousal, and you think, oh my God, did it just move? I'm channeling my George Costanza. I think it moved. Did it move? Oh my God, maybe it moved. Well, now, it's moving. No, I mean, not really. It's not moving right now. I mean, if it was, you wouldn't know or not, but I'm telling you it's not. No, it probably is going to. Then you don't even know if it moved. And then you're confused and worried about why you were worrying about it, whether it was moving or not. And so then it just turns into this horrible, miserable cycle. So all these things come into play when you have HOCD. So the shame and embarrassment piece comes from this, okay? So you're going to think to yourself, okay, I don't care if I'm gay or not. Maybe you think that. Maybe you don't think that. I don't know. I'm just telling, for me, I was like, I don't care if I am or not, but what kind of idiot am I that I'm just worried about it all the time? I know that it's not real. I don't want to date chicks, but I can't stop worrying about it, so I must be stupid. I must be the dumbest person on the planet. And that's where the shame comes in. What's wrong with me? That I know that this is not something that's part of who I am. However, I can't stop worrying about it, and I get stuck in these stupid cycles. I'm embarrassed that I'm the kind of person that can't just think, well, this is who I want to be, this is who I am, but why am I worried that I'm not? You feel so dumb and ashamed and embarrassed. And this is a big point. That's why you don't tell. The don't telling perpetuates the HOCD, because then you're like, well, am I not telling because I'm really in the closet and I don't want to be, or maybe am I, and that's why I'm worried about it? People don't tell for many, many reasons. Number one, I have it written down just in case not that I would forget. First of all, I didn't tell anybody because I thought it was stupid. I was like, what is wrong with you? I was boy crazy, but I couldn't stop worrying that I had turned gay, or I was going to. And at some point in my life, I was going to have to be with chicks, which I didn't want to. Sorry, there's a lot of you out there that are beautiful, but I just am not into you. And you're probably not into me either. But still, you would worry that maybe the what if. And so you don't tell because you're scared if you tell, that is it. Like for me, I was like, I'm not going to say it out loud because then I'll have to come out of this closet that I don't even think I'm in. And then I'm going to have to date girls, which I don't want to do. And that would be miserable for me because it's just like dudes. And then you hear yourself doing that in your head and you think I am a moron because I just can't cut through this stupid cycle because I'm stupid. Then you don't tell also because you're afraid that if you do say it out loud, people are going to think, oh, well, she really just is in the closet and she just doesn't want anyone to know, or she just hasn't faced it yet. Again, like I don't give a shit. Ooh, sorry. I don't care if I'm gay or you're gay or anybody else is. Be with who you want that makes you happy, right? However, there's this big thing when it comes to pure intrusive thoughts where you think if anybody knew, they would think I'm nuts and they would think that I am my obsession. So this isn't just HOCD. This is pedophilia OCD. This is HOCD. OCD. This is, feeling like you've raped somebody OCD. Like all of these types of OCD where you think if I say these things out loud, people are going to believe that that's who I am and that I'm not having anxiety and stressing over this. So people stay quiet. And then the third thing is, what if people judge me? I don't care about that anymore. But when I was 14 and pretty boy crazy then, what if someone found out that I had this weird, ridiculous fear and that everybody was like, well, I don't want to date you because maybe you think you're gay. So many people stay quiet for years. And you may think to yourself, if you don't have OCD, especially if you don't have this type of OCD, that's easy. You either know or you don't. It's not easy. It's a cycle that you get trapped in because you aren't really afraid of being gay. You're afraid of the anxiety surrounding it, and it's a question that's unanswerable. You could prove and disprove till the cows come home. I don't even know what that means. What does that saying really mean, till the cows come home? I mean, is that like because they come home? Anyway, I don't know. Someone, tell me later, but I don't even know why I used it. Anyway, you could prove and disprove that all day, every day, and you still can't come up with a concrete answer. And thus, the misery of OCD. It doesn't matter if it has to do with homosexuality. It doesn't matter if it has to do with a plane crashing, if you have not washed your hands, or whether or not you're going to contaminate your house because you stepped in battery acid. It doesn't matter. You will never be able to prove it. And that is what is so tormenting. That's what keeps us silent. And especially with people with sexual intrusive thoughts who are experiencing the groinal syndrome, and they're experiencing these things that make them feel so ashamed and embarrassed and stupid. They would rather no one ever know because they're embarrassed of the person that they are. So I'm going to go on to a little bit some positive stuff, which is treatment for HOCD. It absolutely works. There is treatment available and it works. But I ain't gonna lie to you, like I always do, it's really hard. But you've got to take the risk and you've got to live with the uncertainty. Here's some of the reasons why people won't get into treatment for HOCD. Number one, I'm not going to get into treatment because what if the therapy proves that I am gay? Even though I know I'm not, what if the therapy proves that I am? That's one reason. That's one of the reasons that I didn't want to go into therapy. And my damn therapist, he was all like, I'm not even going to tell you that you have Puro because of reassurance. And it made me mad at the time, although I appreciate it now. Thanks, Doc. Anyway, the other one is, ERP, exposure response prevention, has worked for other people, but it's not going to work for me. Big one. That's one of the reasons why many people don't get into therapy, because they're scared. It works for everybody else, but it's not going to work for me. And this will be another failure. In all these years, I've been so terrified and tormented. And then the other thing is the exposures are too scary. And I'm going to tell you, they are. But exposure, I'm just not going to lie, but the exposures are scary for anybody. HOCD is not worse than contamination OCD, and contamination isn't worse than HOCD. It's all the same thing. Okay? So you don't have it worse than me. I don't have it worse than you, but we're all scared when we're in a cycle. And the exposures are terrifying. Why? Because you're exposing yourself to something you've been avoiding or ruminating about for years. And they're like, hey, come on over here, touch that toilet. Come on over here and read a Penthouse. And you're like, what the? I mean, I'm not going to do that because you've been avoiding it for so long to save your life, you feel like. But when you're with a proper therapist and someone that can walk you through the smaller exposures and you get a handle on, okay, I'm actually not really afraid of turning or being gay. I'm actually afraid of the anxiety that consumes me when it comes to this topic. Then you're able to move up the hierarchy and you're able to really start managing it. I'm telling you, therapy works if you commit to it. Therapy works if you have the right therapist, which, by the way, make sure that the therapist is an OCD specialist and they practice exposure response prevention. I'll also say, although I don't like to talk about this a lot, medication helped me tremendously. So if you're not ready to go into therapy, because it is sometimes too scary, then think about having a doctor guide you to get some medication that can help reduce your symptoms and at least give you some relief and give you some hope. And that's what I want to leave you with today, is hope. This is a topic that people don't talk about. Not hope, HOCD, although H-O-E, oh, okay. This is a topic that people don't talk about. They don't even know about it. I'm going to tell you, the more I talk about, I was at the sheriff's department the other day talking about HOCD. Somebody came up to me afterwards and said, I've experienced something like this before. You know why? Because people don't want to talk about it because they feel stupid, they feel ashamed, they feel guilty, they feel all of these emotions negatively tied to what it is. But I'm telling you, you are not alone. There are so many people out there with OCD that have experienced HOCD. They aren't going to tell you for all the reasons why I mentioned earlier. They're not going to talk about it out loud because they're scared. But you are not alone. HOCD is way more common than you will ever know because people are too afraid to talk about it. But also because we haven't really opened up a platform for this to be acceptable. And that's what we're doing here. That's what you're doing here by liking this video and sharing it and helping other people that are out there right now being tormented in silence. Because this isn't one that you're just going to waltz in and tell your parents about for fear of what their reaction is. Hope is what I want to leave you with. OCD has effective treatment. It's exposure response prevention. It is difficult. It is scary. But there are people like me out there that can walk with you and alongside you through the therapy and encourage you to get through it and to be successful. And there are wonderful therapists out there that will understand what you're going through and be able to provide you with the support and the hope for you to get through it. I am Chrissy Hodges. I have lived through HOCD and I've gotten therapy for it and I was 100% successful. I'm here to tell you, if I can do it, you can do it. Never doubt that you aren't worth it, that you don't deserve recovery. Hope is out there and that you aren't alone. If you need to find a therapist in your area, please go to the www.iocdf.org. They have, you can go on there and find therapists in your area. If you need support, go to, or articles and things on this particular topic, go to ocdonline.com or John Hirschfield, JONHERSHFIELD. God, I hope I spelled that right. And then you can learn more about my story at www.chrissyhodges.com, CHRISSIEHODGES.com, or email me at ocd.chrissie@gmail.com. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. I'm probably going to jump on and do a live video closer to Christmas or maybe afterwards. I hope you know you are not alone. You're not suffering. You don't have to suffer in silence. There are so many of us out there who are living successfully with HOCD, and we are here rooting for you. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this with people you think need to hear it. Bye now.